Nobody knew whose baby was whose. For roughly 2 million years of human existence, the question of fatherhood had exactly one answer, and that answer was, probably yours, buddy. We think, she seems pretty sure. You are Grug. You have a baby. The baby is looking at you. You are looking at the baby. The baby does not look like you. The baby also does not look like anyone else in the camp. The baby looks like a potato. Grug concerned. Welcome to Grug Explains. Today we answer the question that kept ancient humans up at night, which was hard, because ancient humans were already kept up at night by wolves, hunger, mysterious stomach sounds, and the ongoing trauma of having touched fire that one time. Grug's still mad about the fire. Let us set the scene. We are going back somewhere between 2 million and 10,000 years ago, give or take a Tuesday. Humans live in small bands of maybe 20 to 50 people. There is no hospital. There is no government. There is no paternity test. There is no Maury Povich. There is no one to stand up and read an envelope dramatically. There is just a baby, a mother, a guy who hopes for the best, and a group of people all squinting at a potato. Here is the actual problem. And this is where it gets interesting. Motherhood is what scientists call immediately obvious. The baby comes out of one specific person. There is no debate. There is no alternative theory. The math is very clear. Fatherhood is what scientists call internally uncertain. The baby does not come with a receipt. Nobody gets a stamp. There is a 9-month gap between the relevant moment and the arrival of the evidence, and for most of human prehistory, nobody understood that connection at all. That is not a joke. That is the real answer. For a huge chunk of human history, people did not firmly connect the act of making a baby to the arrival of a baby 9 months later. The delay was simply too long. Life was too chaotic. Cause and effect was hard enough to track when the cause and effect were, say, throw rock at animal, animal fall down. 9 months is a long time. Grug forget what he ate yesterday. Grug definitely not tracking a 9-month biological event. Some anthropologists believe this gap in understanding persisted in certain isolated groups well into more recent history. When researchers reached a few remote communities in the early 20th century, they found people who held genuine beliefs that babies came from spirits, from rivers, from the mother eating certain foods, from dreams. Not because they were unintelligent. Because without modern biology, the timeline simply did not click. Grug did not invent stupidity. Grug invented lunch. But here is the crazy part. Even without understanding the biology, ancient human communities still cared very much about who the father was. And they developed methods. Real, functional, surprisingly logical methods. So let us count them down. Method 1. Proximity. Who does she spend the most time with? This sounds simple because it is simple. And simple solutions that actually work are the best solutions. In a band of 20 to 50 people, everybody knows everything about everyone. There are no secrets. There is no apartment. There is no locking the door. Privacy does not exist. If a man and a woman consistently sleep near each other, eat together, move together, travel together, that pairing is visible to every single person in the group. The whole camp has been watching. The whole camp has opinions. The whole camp is already gossiping, because gossip is also ancient, and Grug's neighbor talk has always been a lot. So when the baby arrives, the community already has a strong working hypothesis. The baby belongs to the man she was paired with. This is not guessing. This is 9 months of eyewitness testimony. Ancient humans were essentially running a continuous neighborhood watch on everyone's personal life, which is invasive, exhausting, and completely accurate. This was the original situationship. Except the whole tribe was the group chat. Method 2. She said so. Yes. This is real. For much of human prehistory, the mother's word was treated as significant evidence. Not definitive in all cases, not legally binding in any modern sense, but genuinely meaningful. Because in a small tight-knit community, a woman's reputation was known. Her movements were known. Her relationships were known. If she named someone as the father, she was naming someone whose presence in her life everyone could verify. And crucially, there was a social cost to lying. If she named someone the whole camp knew she had never been near, the whole camp would know she was lying. Small communities run on reputation and trust. Grug is not going to claim a mammoth that Grug did not catch. The camp is watching. So the mother's word carried real weight. Not because ancient humans were naive. Because they were operating in a transparent social environment where false claims were expensive. Method 3. Does the baby look like the guy? Now we get into the classic human tradition of staring at a baby's face and announcing which adult it resembles. This tradition is eternal. You have done this at a family gathering. Someone held a baby and someone said it has your uncle's forehead and everyone nodded gravely as if they were solving a crime. Ancient humans did the same thing. Researchers studying various traditional societies have found that physical resemblance was actively discussed as evidence of paternity. And here is the genuinely fascinating part. Studies have shown that human babies are born looking slightly more like their fathers than their mothers, and this is believed to be an evolutionary development. The theory is that babies who look like their fathers got more parental investment from those fathers. So over time, dad-resembling babies did better, and dad-resembling baby faces got selected for. Evolution looked at the fatherhood problem and said fine, we will just print the receipt on the baby's face. This is either beautiful or extremely weird depending on how long you think about it. Grug thinks about it for too long. Grug unsettled. Method 4. Claimed paternity and the deal. Here is where it gets genuinely interesting. In many early human communities, paternity was not just a biological question. It was a social agreement. A man could claim a child. He could perform recognizing behaviors. He could start providing resources, including food and protection. He could publicly act like the father. And that act made him the father. This is something anthropologists call social paternity, and it was not a backup plan or a consolation prize. It was a real, functional, respected status. The community would recognize the claim. The man gained a child. The child gained a protector. The mother had support. The whole arrangement worked. Ancient humans invented adoption and co-parenting and blended families not as a modern social innovation but as a basic survival strategy. They did not have a word for it. They just did it because a baby with two invested adults standing next to it had a dramatically better survival rate than a baby with a philosophical debate standing next to it. Grug does not debate. Grug feeds baby. And it gets wilder. Method 5. Partible paternity. Some societies, particularly certain indigenous groups in South America that anthropologists have documented extensively, developed a belief that multiple men could share biological fatherhood of a single child. The thinking was that a baby was built up gradually from contributions, and so more than one man could legitimately be the father, contributing different qualities. So a woman might name 2 or 3 men as fathers of the same child. And those men would all take on paternal responsibilities. They would all provide resources. They would all help protect and care for the child. And the research on these communities shows that children with multiple recognized fathers had higher survival rates. More adults bringing in food. More adults willing to defend you. More people claiming you as theirs. This is not a bug. This is a feature. Ancient humans looked at the fatherhood uncertainty problem and instead of getting anxious about it, some of them just said, fine, more dads, everyone wins. The baby gets a whole committee. This was the original co-parenting arrangement and it had better outcomes than a lot of modern alternatives. Grug's jaw is on the floor. Grug impressed. Method 6. Community accountability. In most ancient communities, paternity ultimately existed within a larger web of obligation. Even if nobody was entirely certain who the biological father was, the community itself had responsibilities to children. uncles, cousins, the mother's brothers specifically. In many matrilineal societies, the mother's male relatives were actually the primary male caregivers and providers for her children. Not the father. The uncles. This is called avuncular investment, and it makes excellent biological sense. An uncle is definitely related to his sister's children. That relationship is guaranteed, no receipt required. So in societies where paternity certainty was low, evolution may have shifted investment toward relationships where genetic certainty was high. Ancient humans essentially built a backup system into the social structure itself. If the dad question was uncertain, the uncle question was not. The uncle gets the job. Somewhere right now a very surprised uncle is reading this and feeling seen. Now. The modern mirror. Because you have done versions of all of this. You have watched who someone spends time with. You have taken someone's word about something you could not verify. You have looked at a family photograph and announced who the baby looks like. You have had relationships that worked because both people decided to make them work, regardless of the paperwork. The ancient methods were not primitive. They were human. They were the same instincts and social tools that modern humans still use constantly, just without the test at the end. Grug did not have the test. Grug had community. Grug had proximity. Grug had the mother's word in the baby's forehead and 4 uncles who were going to show up regardless. The paternity test was invented in 1984. Humans have been solving this problem for roughly 2 million years before that. 2 million years of squinting at foreheads, watching who walked together, trusting people's word, and building families out of social agreements rather than biological certainty. And the survival numbers suggest it worked. Because we are here. You are watching this. Grug made it. The real answer to how ancient humans knew whose baby was whose is, they did not always know, and they built an entire functional civilization anyway. They built trust systems and social bonds and community accountability structures around a question they could not definitively answer. That is either humbling or extremely comforting, depending on how you look at it. Grug looks at the potato baby. Grug decides baby is his. Grug is now a father. Grug is going to be fine. If you want to know what else Grug figured out without any of the tools you currently own, hit subscribe. Next time, Grug explains medicine. Specifically what ancient humans did about a broken bone. Which, quick preview, did not involve a cast, did not involve a doctor, and did involve a truly unreasonable amount of confidence. Grug's still impressed that anyone survived.